Hi, we're Blake and Brittany.
And we are with Average Family Abroad. And today we are not at home. We are at one of our favorite restaurants and venues, which is
Monte, Seoul. So we're on top of a mountain in Loha province.
You can see everything from up here. It's amazing. But not only is the food incredible, but it's just got these gorgeous views of Malacatos and Vilcabamba and the whole area. So we love coming up here.
Very cool place to go.
We are here towards the end of the day. They've got a bonfire going and nice breeze. So we're going to try recording up here. So the video for today, we wanted to talk a little bit about the assumed knowledge that you have of the culture that you are kind of born into and raised in.
What we're calling this is what you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't know what we don't know. And everyone else knows we don't. And we don't even know that we don't a lot of times.
Yeah. So it's one of those where, like Brittany's saying, you grow up somewhere, you know the culture, you know the expectations, you've gone through it all, right? And so you just have an innate knowledge.
You don't even know that you've gone through it, but you have.
And everyone around you has as well. So there's no reason for you to share information because you don't need to. Yeah, everyone already needs it. So.
Assumed knowledge. And that's been an interesting learning curve for us. We're still I think we'll be here for 50 years and still be not knowing what we don't know. So, but poco a poco, we are discovering at least what we don't know and trying to fix it. But before we get into some of those things that we've discovered, the solution to that, because there's a solution, of course, you don't just have to go around clueless forever, is when, of course, you can't do much when you don't know that you don't know something, but as soon as you know that you don't know, then you can advocate for yourself. Right. And people here in Ecuador are really kind. They're not going to know that you don't know, of course, as we've said. But once you let them know that you don't know, then they will help you so happily.
Once they get over the shock that you don't know something.
Yeah. The incredulity of that. But so advocate for yourself. You don't have to live in ignorance.
It's better not to live in ignorance.
Definitely. So one of our first examples, this was so funny. Oh, my goodness.
This is early on.
On. We hadn't even been here, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. We bought our property and, well, you tell.
Yeah. And so where we live, in each of these, really kind of, it can be barrio specific, even be very even more concentrated parts of barrios. There are lots of shared water systems where neighbors have gotten together and they care for and manage irrigation systems together to provide water to each other's properties, that kind of thing. So we have one of those, and I was at the water board meeting.
Which in itself, you basically had to have your hand held and
I had no idea about any of it.
Your Spanish wasn't so great.
My Spanish was still coming along at that point. It was early on, like Brittany said, and I'm sitting there, and at first I'd understand a lot of what was going on. Not everything, right? Context would help, but but I knew they were trying to elect me president of the water board for the coming year,
which was hilarious. Now we know to expect it. They'll elect anything if it means they don't get elected to these things.
Yeah.
But at the time, Blake was just horrified. He's like, but I don't speak Spanish. How can I be the president of the water? I don't even know what that means. So
anyways, and so thankfully I wasn't elected president, but they did elect me as a board member. And I didn't know what the word was at the time for board member. And so I got elected this board position, and I had to go up front and swear to uphold something and be responsible for something. And so
he came home from the meetings well, how'd it go? And he's like, they elected me something. I don't know what, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I am something. I swore to something. It was so funny. And now we know that that means absolutely nothing. It's just a name of a position. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, there was no responsibilities really.
He was just wide-eyed and horrified and flabbergasted. It was so great. One of those just way out of our league. And now we could do that with our eyes closed.
Sure. But again, everyone kind of had, the innate knowledge of what was happening. The elections were coming.
They knew how to not become president.
That's
the guy who became president had stepped out of the room, right?
Yeah. He had left the room and got elected while he was out of the room.
Quick, everyone vote.
It happens in school elections too for parents.
Yeah.
The PTO kind of
my
situation.
Goodness. So funny, but that was great. We're like, how did you get elected? What does this mean for our family? Nothing. So another thing along the school line, so much. There's so many things at school. Our whole first year, we didn't know anything, and everyone else knew everything. So this was so funny. Oh, you're gonna have to put this picture in.
Oh yeah,
Specifically.
it's
But
creepy.
like one thing, a crazy example. But so there aren't big stores here really, and there's no Amazon.com really. And so you have to go to specific shops for whatever it is you're looking for. And one of my children came home one day and told me that he needed to bring in a papaya costume for a school presentation. And I was like, no, that's not going to be like, what? How is that even a thing? And then I was like, where do I find a papaya costume? That's not a thing. There's no way on earth a store has a costume of a papaya. I'm still a little skeptical about that. But all the other moms look at me like, you go to the costume store where they have papaya costumes. I was like, what does that even mean? Where do I find a costume store? And so I didn't. That was just beyond my capabilities at the time. And so I was like, well, I'll just make a papaya mask and that'll have to be good enough. Well, my papaya mask, as you can see in the photo, it's like nightmare inducing. I am not crafty, like the opposite of crafty. And it's horrifying. I still don't know if you can literally go to a costume shop and find a papaya mask, but none of the other moms were daunted by that at all,
I'm sure
finding
you
their
can.
children's fruit costumes. So maybe
Yes.
there really are, like, maybe there's a fruit costume shop.
I wouldn't be
fact, I
surprised
wouldn't
if
be
there's one that
surprised either.
specializes in fruit.
But that was just an example of me being like, is this a nightmare? Like, wake me up. Where do I find this? This is one of many, many examples. So, and one of with slightly more serious consequences than papaya masks. The
car renewal.
Yeah, we just didn't even know parts of this process. Like, literally had no clue.
Yeah, there's so many things that, again, it's if you don't have someone holding your hand through a lot of the bureaucracy, you're just there's no way you're going to know.
You can't guess.
You can't guess how to complete everything because none of it will make sense. And so car renewal falls into that bucket. And so specifically, if you watch our car video, you'll hear more. But when we bought our last vehicle, I didn't realize that I had to, when we bought it, like the day we bought it, I personally had to go to a bank that had a bank account with the government and pay certain taxes directly to a government bank account and then have those receipts for when I went to go get the car renewed and inspected and all that. And so it's just things that you just don't know.
Why would we have guessed that?
Yeah, because we have had help on our other cars when we bought them, and we had someone who kind of took care of that for us. And so, like in the United States, I would have paid at the DMV. I would have paid.
Would have known that.
I would have known that exactly.
But I guess an immigrant may not have known that.
Yeah, an immigrant may not know how to use it in the United States either. But yeah, so not knowing, and
don't even
no one offers that information. No one tells you to go do that, right? They just expect you to know you need to go do that. So
anyway, we got it figured out, but with fines and
yeah, that was a mess. But
along the same lines, like paying parking tickets. That's another thing. We got a parking ticket early on because, of course, there's a whole parking process.
Yes,
and it's like but there's no mail here, right? No mail, literally no mail system. So you don't get something in the mail that says, "Hey, you've got a ticket," and so it's very easy to kind of just forget. Or what do you even do with that ticket?
And the tickets go against your license plate of your vehicle. And so, so the ticket wasn't very much money, but it lives on your vehicle. So like doing car renewal, like if you buy a car from someone and they had bunch of parking tickets or something, if they're not cleared, you take on that liability if you don't realize. And so that was a while. A friend told me, you can pay them online or go into the government office in Loja and pay it. But thankfully I was able to pay them online. But just, there's so many things, bureaucratic things that you just can't know instinctively because bureaucracy almost never makes sense.
And you won't even know to ask. Like you said, you won't know that you don't know until you find out. So another school related one, that year one, everyone just gave us a lot of grace because we were so clueless.
So new.
But year two, mattered more. The stakes were a little higher and we needed to know more. But there was still something that baffled us the entirety of year one, and that was the notebook system for school. They have
it still baffles us.
The kids
got a grasp on it, yes.
But so for every subject they have cuadernos, notebooks, and it's very specific, certain type of paper, certain amount of pages per subject, and it's different. And they have to make these title pages. And they have very specific format to them. They're called caratulas. And that we just had no idea.
Well, then they split the notebook in half too. You've got lesson,
materia,
and then you've got the homework
deber.
sections.
Yeah, and so, but now we know this, but we had no clue. No clue.
Our poor disorganized artist of a child.
Oh my goodness.
And these cuadernos, these notebooks are really, really precise.
All the kids have them pristine. No doodles, no mistakes. They have one notebook called the borrador that you're allowed to like make mistakes in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, they are like gorgeous.
They're perfect. And so our son horrified his teacher
because
he would just doodle all over, write stuff in whatever page he wanted.
She was so kind about it, but it's just not the culture. Like kids are taught from like
very beginning
that they have, that these notebooks are this way. And we are much more loosey-goosey and free about that kind of thing. And so, but even just like how to put them together and how to do the caratulas and all that. Like we literally, starting year 2, one of my really kind, wonderful, beautiful friends, Raquel, like spent hours with me and the kids, like showing me the ropes. Like, okay, you made it through year 1, which was all about survival. Now let me explain this to you, because they did it that way when she was a little girl, when her mom was a little girl, and so they just know. But for us, it doesn't sound like a big thing, but absolutely mystifying. And so, and she would show me how to do that. This goes here. And then we fold this page like this. And, the colored pens, they have to do certain things in certain colored pens, but they don't use whiteout and they don't use erasable
no
pens.
Whiteout, no erasing.
Don't make mistakes.
Just don't make mistakes.
Anyway, it was just all of that. It was just mind boggling. We were so lost, and I still couldn't really tell you how to do it, but the kids could. And, we got through it with help from our friends and grace from the teachers. Another thing that like, how do you know, but people just grow up with is like grieving customs and funeral like traditions, things like, it's different here, right? Of course, it's different everywhere. So
it'd be very different depending on culture and religion and
I mean, even rural
family
urban can be different.
Rural urban.
So it's like a loved one of a friend passed away, and we'd want to like bring something. We literally had to ask, like, okay, like we care about you so much. Like, what do we do to show our care? What is the way that's done here? Because it's not how it's done in the United States. So, I mean, sometimes we'll make cookies, which is more like what we would do, I think, back in the United States. But we've also learned to
bring food, so like a bag of rice,
food,
or
not like cooked food.
Not cooked food, no. Because what'll happen is most of these families will have a period of a week or 2 where people are coming every single night to be with the family, and the family is expected to provide food or a snack. And
they'll bring sort of very specific things that everyone is used to. And so me bringing, macaroni and cheese isn't helpful, but us bringing a big bag of rice is helpful, we've learned. Yeah. And so
things like that.
Or like if I bring cookies, those can be handed out and shared, or bread rolls or something. But like literally being like, we don't know, this is different. Or if they have the casket out and people are sitting around the room, there, and we were given a cup of coffee and we're like, is it appropriate for us to drink this right now? Like, we don't want to do the wrong thing. And people are so understanding and kind, even in their own grief about that. But lots of learning and realizing like, wow, you really do start from scratch in so many ways when you move somewhere else. And so that's another thing. And
lots of cultural learning.
Another funny example. I think it's funny anyway. So things are just done in such a precise way here. There's way less variation, I would say, than in the United States. So I got assigned a very specific item to bring to school for a class party, and it was sausages. And I was like, I can interpret that like a dozen different ways, like bringing sausages into the class party. But I bet there is one way that they will expect sausages to come, and it probably is not what I would normally do. Like I could do like these great little sausage meatball skewers, like I get lots of things. Anyway, so again, a message a friend. I was like, what does this mean? Send me a picture of what this is. And so she does. She's like, oh, just this, and it's like little hot dogs, like snipped into little pieces and put on a toothpick. And I was like, thank you, I can handle that, but it's like, and if I had brought something else, it would have been very weird. Like it would have been odd and weird. And not that they would have been rude about it, but like when they said they wanted sausages, everyone else would have known exactly what that meant. Yeah. So now I do.
Now you know. Okay. I guess the next one's you too.
Oh yeah. Anytime I cook with Ecuadorian friends, and I'm a decent cook, like I'm not like a world-class chef, but I'm a good cook and I'm a
Brittany's a
confident cook.
fantastic cook.
But
No
they do
question.
it in a very specific way, and I feel so bumbly and, like, foolish, not because they make me feel that way, of course, because again, they're so kind, but it's like, "Oh, what are we doing?" "Oh, well, we're chopping tomatoes and onions." It's like, "Okay." And I'm, like, holding the knife and I'm holding the tomato, like, when they're like, "Oh, let us do that for you, Brit." They're like, "Oh, the poor little foreign girl, she doesn't know how to cook." Another funny, like, there's this one way of doing it, and I feel so out of my league because I don't do it the one way, and so, it's just funny because I do cook a lot, but you wouldn't know
Yep.
it in that context, so you could talk about the uniforms,
All
even
right.
though it's me too.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, okay. I guess there's a lot of learning to be done. School has definitely been a major source of this, like Brittany said. So uniforms, like all the kids in all the schools, even private schools everywhere, they all wear uniforms, and there's this very specific way that you clean everything, and and the type of fabric that they use for these kids' uniforms gets stained, and like just staring at it, and it'll get a stain,
At least
right?
with our
With
kids.
our kids, and then our kids are our kids, and so like our youngest, you'd be like, "How did you get so dirty?" He was like, "Well, I was just crawling through that tunnel
We're
on
like,
my
"Why
belly."
did you crawl
Like what?
through it?" So
Oh my
all the
gosh.
stereotypes you may or may not have heard about, like, Latina moms and their kids getting manchas on their uniforms, like,
Yeah,
there's reasons for that.
stains receiving the sandal of doom. Um,
'Cause it's like, "Ah, your uniform, what are you
Very
doing?"
true. So we were mystified on how to clean these uniforms. It was
There's like
impossible.
there's certain products and
Yes.
technique to it, and a lot of utilizing the sun to get
Yeah.
things white.
Obviously the sun does an amazing job, but
But again, like, I've been doing laundry forever. I know how to wash clothes. And so, but literally, same friend, wonderful Raquel, and she was like, we were literally on our hands and knees out on the terrace, and she's showing me how she scrubs, and I was like, I am literally scrubbing laundry. Like, never thought I'd be doing that, but scrubbing the
you
shoes,
gotta
and
scrub everything.
yeah, it's just so kind, just showing me how to do the things that, the
Yeah, because the teachers would be mad. Your boys have stains.
they're like, yeah,
Like
that
we're
took
trying
about
to clean them, but it
and
won't.
we're not going to buy new ones,
Yeah.
not till
Ooh,
the
thunder.
next year. Because they're not cheap. And so, yeah, but now I'm kind of a pro. Now we've got our
Yes.
systems down and
Yep.
we know how to do it. But there was learning curve there for sure. Oh dear, this is mine too. This is funny. Oh my goodness. This is a
Okay.
great example. I think these are funny, some
Say
of these.
yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I went to get some medical tests done maybe a year after living here. And the pharmacy the doctor I don't know, did the
The
pharmacy or
doctor
the
wanted
doctor
you to
ordered,
get.
like, a stool sample and a urine sample, and in the United States, my experience with that is the laboratory provides you with that, like, you go into the lab, they give you the containers, and you go leave the sample. So, I show up at the lab, and they're like, "Okay, I'm here for my stool sample," and they kinda hold out their hands, and I'm like, what? Like, do you expect me to give this to you in like a Ziploc bag? What is going on here? And like, how would I have even known this? But apparently, here
Yeah.
you go to the pharmacy beforehand and you purchase for just a few cents, like little containers, receptacles,
Yes.
and
You buy the
you do it
sample
all at
containers.
home. And then you bring in like these pharmacy, like little containers and literally just hand them over. But I'll never forget the guy just like holding out his hand for my stool sample and me being like, no, 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 you're supposed to give me something here, pal. What's going on? And so, but yeah, we never ever would have guessed that. So if you find yourself in that same situation, learn it from, it was very humiliating. I felt very
Yes, that's an odd.
embarrassed.
It's embarrassing talking about it now.
I'll stop. Let's go on to the next one. But
Yes, be aware. All right. Oh yeah. So this one's funny. So
oh
enrolling the
man,
kids in school. If you watched our car video, you'll see we talked about the many different ways that people have obtained their driver's license. I feel like it's the same way for school enrollment
probably like everything.
for everything. Anyways, but trying to enroll our kids in the public school system and going to the district.
Especially having had them be homeschooled,
Yes.
in the United States, and we didn't have, like, papers or anything,
We didn't
but
have a bunch of records and paperwork and stuff, but we literally, to begin the process, had to draft a very specific formatted letter that really literally just said, dear sir or madam, please put my kids in school. Sincerely, their parents.
Only with like much fancier language, like on
Yeah.
behalf of the esteemed director of
Yeah.
the wonderful, marvelous school of so and so place, like because it's very formal language here.
Very
But it was
formal.
one of those like letter, like what? Like, do we just write like, hello, sir, please put our kids in school.
Yeah.
Sincerely, Brittany.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? How do we
But
draft
no, it was
that?
a
And we had
very
several
specific
times.
letter. Yes.
I think we ended up asking one of the teachers at school to help us, and or no, maybe it was just the person at the papeleria helped us. I can't remember
maybe.
the print shop. Like we're supposed to have a letter, and we don't know what that means. And now we can kind of fake our way through those sorts of letters because there are more letters. Like there are letters for lots of things in very specific language and stuff. And now we can
Now
fluff
we
our
can do
way
it.
through those. But
Yep.
so like just kind of
Puzzling.
what? And so
Yeah.
I think that's I'm sure there's so many more examples, but
So many more. But that's just, again, moving to a foreign country. Again, I can imagine it's very similar for someone
I
who's
think
moved to
so.
the United States.
We've gotten so much like more
Um,
empathy now for immigrants in the United States. Just to try to imagine how baffled they are by so many different things. So
Yeah, there's so much you take for granted when you grow up somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That you just intrinsically everyone knows the same information and culturally how to do things. And so yeah, it is,
it's been humbling. It
yeah.
makes you grateful when people help you. It makes you feel embarrassed sometimes, or like, but it's just part of the deal. And
Part of the deal.
we love it all. So.
All right. With that, like and subscribe. Thank you. Visit our website at averagefamilyabroad.com. Send us a message through the email there. If you have any questions, comment down below. Tell us any experiences you've had in this regard as well. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.